Now, the next session, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, from podcast to Powerhouse, and uncover a little bit of 20VC's journey.
Yes, I'm happy to introduce for the first time within this role, we have Marija Rucevska, who is the general partner at Outlast Fund, and I do have to say, the co-founder and board member of TechChill. So we're here. She's a big part why we're here, right? And joining Marija will be Alexandre, Dewez, partner at 20VC. Welcome, guys.
Give them a big round of applause.
All right. What's up with the energy? Guys! Give us something better. Give us something better. We're here for you guys to talk about startups. All right. So, welcome, Alex.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Your second time in Riga, right?
Yeah, second time in Riga.
So far, excited?
So far, so good. Excited, great engineers. I love that.
Great engineers.
Yeah?
Yes, and this is also the reason we're here, right?
Of course.
To spot the early founders, the early kind of superstars rising from this region.
Exactly.
No, it makes sense. So we're kind of like, we're continuing to dive a lot more deeper, I guess, into the VC ecosystem now. With Cherry and Jan is kind of being on stage, I think we're just gonna do a similar route, kind of explain a bit more on how the VCs think, and so the founders would be, better equipped when they do take the meetings, and I think 20VC is a very outstanding kind of a firm that has obviously sparked out from a podcast. So how many of you know what is 20VC? Raise your hands. Okay, but it's an interesting story. So why don't you give like a quick intro of yourself, and then how 20VC came to be to a $400 million fund?
Yeah. Let's jump in. Hi, everyone. My name is Alex. Quickly, on my side, so I'm 29. I'm half Italian, half Belgium. I was born, I grew up, and I was educated in France. I have a background in business and philosophy, and I studied straight into venture. Spent 5 years in a large pan-European fund called Rucevska, where I was doing seed and Series A all across Europe. Invested in more than 20 companies there, and during nights and weekends, I was also doing content. I have one of the largest tech newsletter in Europe on vertical software called Overlooked. And yeah, 6 months ago, I joined 20VC to work on everything we do at Series A and Series B. And to give you the backstory of 20VC, as I saw a couple of you know the podcast. So the podcast, Harry started it basically 10 years ago when he was 17. The idea at the time was to break into venture, and he was okay, let's try to interview the best founders, best investors, best operators in the world, and at some point one of them will hire me. It turned out that the podcast has been a bit more successful than what was initially planned. To give you a couple of numbers, we do 20 million listens per month. We have interviewed almost 3,000 people over the past decade. And 5 years ago, Harry, instead of joining a firm, he was okay, I will build my own thing. And that's how the fund started. We started small, entrepreneurs. First fund was a 8 million fund. 2 years ago, we raised a second one, 140. And now we have this 400 million fund, with which we invest from pre-seed to Series B, ticket size from 1 to 20, as lead or co-lead in US and European companies.
That's a crazy stretch, right? From the previous fund now to
it
400.
It's an AI company.
It's a completely different strategy as well that is required, right?
Exactly.
But I mean, obviously, who else if not Harry Stebbings would go after this kind of a crazy amount-sized fund, right? So how do you view European VC landscape in general? You guys now have one of the largest ones, Cherry also just raised, right? And there's a couple of other who are kind of doubling down on this. Is it getting crowded, even for that big size of a fund, or you feel like still comfortable and you're gonna nail this?
We are going to nail this, so that's the first answer. And then, like in terms of landscape in Europe, I would say, and it's the same like in the US, there is like an oversupply of capital in general, especially like for the best companies in the world. And VC is like slowly like becoming a commodity and like an institutionalized business where you don't have that much differentiation between like funds. And at 20VC, we try like to push like as hard as we can like on our differentiation, and the differentiation that we have as a fund is that we leverage everything we do like on the media side to serve our founders. And the way it works is two things. The first one is that the 3,000 like guests that went like on the show over the past decades are people that are like in our networks. They're like the best people in the world, best operators, best investors, best entrepreneurs. And Harry, basically, you can like view him as an API to that network. And the second part of that equation is that we are trying to productize as much as possible that network. We created like verticalized like sub-funds. So you see like in a company, you have like different functions, sales, product, growth, engineering. And we try to build verticalized functions with like top operators in each of these functions. And for each function, basically, we have a group of 10 like top operators, mostly like from US companies, a fund of 5 million, and they invest in the ecosystem, they co-invest with us, and most importantly, they help you guys like build like the business. They've done things like multiple times, and that's our differentiation, and it's a differentiation that we want to like build on and accentuate over the next couple of years.
Yeah. Let's maybe then unpack a bit more about your founder thesis for the fund. I think like most of our audience probably are startups, or at least they are. So what exactly do you guys are looking for in founders? Is there some sort of pattern matching happening, or just like bias, subjective, non-subjective? Like how does it work in your end?
So the way it works, we are a team of like 4 investors. I think all of us like come from different background and from like different like expertise, and we like different type of topics, but also like different type of founders. And the way we think about that is that as a firm, we are like super founder-led, so our decisions are mostly based on founders, even like at Series A or Series B, when we have a bit more like metrics. Building a company is that hard that we believe that putting more and more emphasis on founders compared to the rest is like super important. And the consequence of that is that we want to have like full consensus as a team on founders when we make investments. And then there are a set of criteria that Harry likes, that Paul likes, that Kieran likes, and that I likes. So I will give you mine, and we try like to do a mix of all of this. And I think that's why like the partnership is working quite well. Personally, I really love like founders who have like an engineering background, and that's why I'm also spending a lot of time in like Eastern Europe. I think it's key to like build products that are like defensible, that are like deep. So that's one thing that I really look forward. I really love the combination of that with founders that are also like good in go-to-market and that are aggressive in go-to-market. Building a company is also like a race. A lot of markets these days are like super competitive, and so you need that commercial aggressivity like to win. And then in terms of mindsets, we are looking at founders that are working like super hard, that are doing the work of their life. And we need that basically because building a company and bringing it like to 1 billion or plus is like so hard. And so you need to have like that resilience, that drive to be successful. So these are a couple of criteria. I can go like on and on for like 11 more minutes, but I will stop here.
I think it's lovely. I mean, everyone's already like, getting depressed. Oh yeah, probably shouldn't like build that $1 billion company instead. But you mentioned like aggressive go-to-market approach. Can you explain maybe a bit more in detail, like how aggressively should it be? Like, what does it mean?
No, of course, it's a good question. So a couple of things that we love like to look at. I love to look to see founders that are like going out of the traditional like sales playbooks to do like extraordinary things to like close customers. I love like these stories where they travel to the other side of the world to like close the customers. I love these stories, or they close 7-digit like contracts like on their own. So we try like to dig a lot on that.
Yeah.
And then we love also to see how structured they are in like building the like go-to-market organization. Do they have like the right like playbooks to have cadence in the sales organization, the right like accounts executive with the right like objectives that they need like to reach. And basically you want to, and we like also like to visit like offices and see like salespeople in their office with like the gong where that they will ring on anytime they do like a new sale. We like to see like these kind of things. And obviously these like qualitative like threat, when we do like Series A or Series B, you see them like in the numbers. And it's translated by traction that is like off the chart. And these are the companies that we back like at Series A or Series B.
What could be like too early for you?
We do like pre-seed to Series B, so there is there is no like too early for us. I can give you like a super specific example. We are like working on a deal at the moment where the two employees are still, where the two like founders are still like working at their previous company, and we will sign like a term sheet and work with them, even if they are still at the at their company and still like iterating on the right idea. But we just want to be like in business with these people. And at seed, it can be also like a company that has like a product, a couple of design partners, a team that is a core team that is already there. So the spectrum is quite large on where we can get in the early days of a company.
All right. Do you think is there one underrated metric that you think that VCs like often overlook when they are deciding, you know, whom to pick and whom not?
I think there is one, and it comes back to what I was saying on founders. A lot of VC firms, especially like at Series A and Series B, are spending too much time on metrics and not enough time on founders. And even at this like stages where you have traction, you have customers, you need to spend a lot of time with the founders because it's a 10+ year journey, and they will be up, they will be down, and the only thing that will not change are the founders. And so, yeah, all the metrics are a bit overrated in VC, especially at Series A and Series B, because founders are still like super important in building like an amazing company.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I feel like these days VCs are playing VCs, but then they're like thinking as private equity firms.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
And
yeah.
it's just like it's messing up the industry a bit. Yeah, but let's move on maybe towards the value kind of, you know, what do you think is your job, for example, as a VC investor?
On that, we are like quite controversial. We don't think that VCs add a lot of value, and we don't add a lot of value. Our main role is to find like amazing founders and to give them like capital. That's our main goal. We are like capital allocator. We are not like business builders. The founders we back, they know how to build their business, and it's not on us like to give them like bullshit advice on what they should do, like on go-to-market, on hiring and everything. But what we've done is that everything that we've done like on the media side, we leverage it to serve our founders. And so we've built like this network with people who've done it like multiple times. And so anytime you guys like have an issue on a given topic, our only role and our only reception is to put you in touch with the best 3 people in the world who've done it like multiple times, and we will be like well placed like to give you like the good advice for you founders. So that's really how we think about it.
But then, like on this advice part, so when are you coming in? Let's say like it's post fundraising, like the honeymoon is over, some problems start to occur. What type of advice and when would you come in, and when would you leave the founder to take care of it?
So the way we see ourselves is we are like intermediaries, if you want, like between the founders and the network. And most of the advice that are like on building the business will come like from the network. I think like as a team, where we have a role to play are to be on the side of the founders, to be a cheerleader, and that like is a big role, and be like super close to our founders, to be there when it's hard, to be there when moments are when things are not playing out as expected is like super important. And this is where we try like to just be there, and then where we can add value, because we are spending a lot of time looking at companies that are like fundraising, is like on fundraising per se, because we are, if we know one thing is like fundraising, and so on fundraising we work like super hard with our founders on like preparing them, on like putting them in touch with the 5 best people in the world for their company, with the network that we have. But besides being a sparring partner and helping on fundraising, the rest will come like through the network.
Well, I mean, like, Europe is doing fine, like, but US is going to do like really good in the coming years, like in terms of what's happening like politically, and you know, Trump being by the wheel again, it's going to probably like do massive kind of economy boost. What's your kind of like prediction maybe for the VC landscape in the coming year or two?
You mean in Europe or in the
in
US
general,
or across the
globally,
globe?
like what could be like how you guys approach this, and what you think is going to change now, with all this kind of turmoil?
I think we are like in the middle of a reshuffling in the venture capital ecosystem. A lot of funds are going out of business just because they are not like performing financially, and so they cannot raise like the next fund. So that's one thing that we see. Another thing that we see is that there is concentration of capital in the like large platforms. So think about like the Andreessen of the world, the Sequoia of the world. These kind of funds, they attract like most of the capital invested into venture. And this is like where we stand. We feel that there is a unique opportunity in time to create like the next generation franchises in Europe and in the US with like differentiated product for founders. And there is space because funds are dying. A lot of incumbents are also like struggling with issues such as like GP transitions and everything. And founders are craving for other types of relationships with their investors. And so it creates space, and this space we are trying to like go after it.
But if you had to kind of bet on one single sector, which one would it be and why? Like for 2025?
2025.
And you can't say AI.
No, I can. For me, it's easy. I'm like a super. I'm a big like vertical software nerd. I told you like in the introduction, I have a newsletter on that. Trace that was like on stage is part of that trend. What I mean by vertical software are software that are going after like a single industry. So Trace is spending these days like a lot of time like in automotive and manufacturing is a great example of that. And with everything that is happening in AI, I think that the solutions that are like tailor-made like to an industry makes even like more sense, and are even like more defensible compared to horizontal play, because when you are going after a specific industry, you build like workflows that are like industry specific, and you also like build a data set that is like quite unique and proprietary, and that will be like defensible compared to like horizontal like system of records. So the companies I'm talking about, to give you like a couple of names, are companies in the US such as like Toast for restaurants, Procore in construction, Viva in healthcare. These kind of companies, we really love them and we like to back them. 3 out of the 6 like first investments that we've done at 20VC's since I've joined are like vertical software companies. We announced one today in construction in Germany, a company called Construct, and they do like they do exactly that, going after the construction industry, digitizing procurement, and yeah, we really love like these models. We think they're like super relevant, and we want to back these kind of companies.
Nice. Cool. Okay, we are like approaching the end of our session. Maybe let's do like a quick fire round.
Yeah, let's do that.
So, one myth of a startup world you would love to debunk?
Raising venture capital is overrated. I think a lot of entrepreneurs should not raise capital. In Eastern Europe, you have this culture of like bootstrapping, which I really love. I think being an entrepreneur is already like something super, super powerful, and I have as much respect for the founder of Vinted as I have for like my butcher or any other like small commerce run by an entrepreneur. Venture funding is like super, super specific in terms of type of company that you are building. It's a journey where you want to build like a multi-billion business, you want to work super hard, you want to grow like super fast. And as an entrepreneur, you can make a lot of money without going through that path. And even if you want to build in tech, you can make a lot of money just by being bootstrapped. I think the tech ecosystem in general will be like better off if this message was more like hard and loud and known by everyone.
One startup you regret on passing?
Yeah, it's an easy one for 20VC. We passed on the seed round of Deal that announced like a big round. Like,
You passed on Deal.
Yeah, yesterday. The company does like, it's in HR, around like remote working for the people who don't know. They do like 800 million in revenues, growing 70% year on year. Probably one of the best like software businesses that have been created over the past decade. And we passed on it because, guess what? It was too expensive.
Yeah, but like the best ones are always expensive. Well,
yeah.
Well, mostly.
The price for the best companies is always pretty expensive, especially when they have like explosive growth. But that's a good learning that we have integrated as a team, I think.
Great. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you so much.
That's it. That's our session.
Thank you.